the late Governor, Nesting Espinilla, and now you have, of course, Governor Medalla, and now Governor Eli Remolona. The whole idea is really on how we can transform the Philippine economy to become, a digital economy. And one thing that I also would want to highlight is the fact that we have what we call the Digital Payments Transformation Roadmap that has been set by the BSP. There are two goals under this roadmap, and that would be, number one is to transform at least 50% of retail financial transactions in the form of digital, and to onboard 70% of adult Filipinos into the formal financial system by end of this year. I think the good news is that we will be able to achieve those twin goals by end of 2023. So, definitely, these are the things that we've been doing in the industry. And of course, this is not just the handiwork of the industry or the regulators. Practically all the sectors involved, all the stakeholders, including our consumers. Because if there's one thing that the pandemic brought about in terms of positive thing, I think it would be more of how the consumers were able to embrace digital. And we have seen the accelerated pace of consumer adoption when it comes to digital payments.
Right. Well, Secretary Jokla, when he was still with the Bangko Sentral, was already talking about a cash-like society. And as you said, the pandemic accelerated many of those initiatives. What is the aim here? What are the benefits? Because as I understand it, there is this whole movement about maybe bypassing central banks, and that's how cryptocurrencies became popular. And then we saw central banks coming up with their own digital currencies. Yeah. Is it an initiative to just catch up with what's changing in the digital landscape, or there are actually economic benefits? Is there faster growth, for example, if you have a digital or a cash-like society?
Definitely, yeah. There are several, emerging technologies out there, right? Yeah. So you talk about cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and in fact, the central bank, BBSP has been pushing for what we call the CBDC-PH, or Central Bank Digital Currency Project, that is now called Project Aguila.
Right.
And in fact, there are about 12 participants there, or participating entities for this particular pilot. And in fact, for a lot of the players in the industry, I think there are about more than 30 licensees when it comes to digital assets. This would be what we call the VASP, or the Virtual Asset Service Provider licensees that is being provided by or issued by the BSP. But only a handful would be active in the market right now. And I think you're right. While the Philippines has been one of the top 10 countries when it comes to adoption to crypto, there should be much attention given to consumer education, because there is so much risk there, and definitely we have to provide that proper education and awareness among consumers who would be lured to make use of cryptos. That's why in the Philippine, in the Blockchain Council, the one that we are really advocating is on how to get rid or to weed out those bad elements, especially those that are not really licensed, or those that are really, illegal or scammers, and in fact, a lot of Filipinos would be, some of them would be scammed, because of some of this, maybe lack of awareness or lack of education. But I think one of the things that we are also pushing here is the promotion of, of the use of technology for good.
Okay.
Right. So it's not really, because consumer protection is one primary agenda amongst industry players on how to protect the best interests of our consumers.
So one of the things that's recently in the news was, of course, the start of the trial for Sam Backman-Fried. Fantastic collapse, right, of his company. So, going back to the question that I had, what is the future of money? Do you think that will include cryptocurrencies, right? Or are we looking at central bank digital currencies? Because the whole philosophy, as I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, about cryptocurrencies is that they're designed to bypass regulatory intermediaries like central banks, right? And I was wondering if the Philippines, among like other countries like China and others, are now introducing sort of a substitute.
Yes.
Right. That they can still control, that they can still regulate, as opposed to cryptocurrencies that really operate outside of the traditional banking system.
Yes, precisely. I mean, to your point, I mean, I would say that we are still in that crypto winter stage because of the collapse of FTX and the other issues that prevailed during recent times in terms of uncertainties when it comes to cryptos. But I think you're right. I mean, there are practically 9 or 10 countries or markets in the world that are now into CBDC or having to use stable coins, right? That's why I think, as I've said, BSP has been very progressive when it comes to having to adopt its own CBDC and having to pilot something that is although it's still on a wholesale approach, right, on CBDC, but to your question, definitely crypto will be part of that ecosystem. And while the idea of crypto is really to disintermediate some of these entities, and of course because of blockchain and because of these trusted platforms, the thing is really on how we can merge or we can blend that together in making sure that you have consumer protection, you have consumer education, and of course you have at least an entity that would also supervise, the actors in that particular field, right? With the end goal of really making sure that every consumer is protected.
Let me try to provoke you a little bit here, because in the Manila Times, you've written a number of editorials where we have said that we better watch out on these Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because frankly many of us in the editorial board think it's a scam, that it doesn't really qualify as money. Some people said it has no intrinsic value, and that really the way a form of money will survive is really trust in the people that use it, right? And so now with the fantastic collapse of
FTX,
FTX, and all of these other problems, as you said, that's now created this crypto winter. Wouldn't the future be more like digital currencies of different countries rather than new currencies that were spawned outside of the traditional system?
It's really happening now as we speak, right? In fact, Philippines would be among the, as I've said, among the top 8 even countries when it comes to crypto adoption. And there are reports saying that about 10% of our inward remittance volume is really being sent through cryptos. So I mean, you're now seeing some of these figures, some of this empirical data that would tell you that indeed Filipinos are so adaptive, or so they could easily adapt to technologies. But I think to your point, I mean, the thing is really on how we could further protect them, right? And we won't be able to see the end of innovations. Innovations will definitely be there. More and more emerging technologies will come out, and something that our Gen Zenners or Gen Zoomers or even Gen Alpha now would be embracing, right? So in fact, a lot of the millennials and even Gen Z population are really into this, right? So because for them, it's really more about having the convenience of doing their financial services through their mobile apps.
I see. So you haven't given up on crypto?
Not yet.
Okay. Now, before the pandemic, I know the central bank was already trying to initiate some projects to move toward that cash-like society. I think they even had a pilot area in Quezon City somewhere where people could use QR codes.
QR, yeah.
Yes. How do you see that being adopted? I mean, what does the rollout look like from RCBC or from Alliance PH's standpoint?
Well, as I've said, BSP has been an advocate for continuous innovation, right? On how we can provide banking services to the unbanked or underserved Filipinos. And to your point, I mean, the QRPH or the interoperable QRPH has been part of the initiative of the BSP together with the industry as way back 2017 when we launched the National Digital Payment System, and this started through what we now know as InstaPay and PesoNet, no?
Right.
And we've seen the exponential growth of both ACHs, no, or automated clearing houses, for real-time small value transfers up to 50,000, which is InstaPay, and as well as another ACH, which is PesoNet, which is the one that wherein you could send higher value, no, although not yet real time. So the thing is that they have also rolled it out to the public markets, no, by way of having to educate the mass market on the use of interoperable QR. So that's why part of the initiative of the BSP, of the PPMI, the Philippine Payments Management Incorporated, plus the other, of course, the all the stakeholders, is really to make every Filipino consumer aware that regardless of what you're using as a mobile app, no, could now be read or could now be used to scan any QR PH code, no, that you could actually see in any store, in sari-sari store, department store, or any establishment for that matter, for payment of anything, right, or for payment of goods or services, etc. So that has been the campaign initiated by the BSP. So we actually joined those caravans on Paleng QRPH that is also being led by our also very dynamic Deputy Governor Berna Romul Puyat, wherein the whole idea is really to make sure that all the players in the industry would be able to also play a part, no, in educating the public. So for RCBC, we have launched what we call the RCBC Discard Tech. That was the only product that was launched at the height of a lockdown way back July 2020. And in fact, after we launched that, in a matter of 3 months, we became number one with the most downloaded app in the country. And with that, we were able to get or to reap several regional and global accolades, no, and one of which, and that really resulted in having that award as being the Philippines Best Bank for Digital for 4 consecutive years now from Asia Money. Of course, other awards such as coming from YouTube, from Gartner, etc. So I think the whole idea is really on how we can, we can really provide the necessary tools needed by our target market. No, it's really more. It's not about how sexy your mobile app is, how robust your platform is. It's really more having to know the pulse of your target market, of your consumers.